Dawn Neeson are back with us this morning to review your Monday morning newspapers. Christopher, you want to start... I'm calling Christopher, it's very formal.
Very formal.
I want to start with Remembrance Day. It's been a few days, hasn't it, with Armistice Day on Friday and then the Cenotaph ceremony and all sorts of ceremonies up and down the country yesterday. You've chosen the Star, the front page, lest we forget.
I know. I mean, I was doing a charity in Manchester over the weekend. I was staying at a hotel and I switched the television on and there it was. And I found it terribly moving.
Yeah.
I mean, it is extraordinary when you think... I remember my mother telling me that she was in the RAFs and she would go out the night before and with the boys and they'd have a drink and they'd really have a good time, and then they went off in the morning and they knew that half of them wouldn't come back. And that is what people did. And it was like sending people to their deaths.
Young men as well.
Young men.
16, 17, 18.
Who hadn't had a life.
Yeah.
You know, and it was somehow all the people there yesterday, and it's if it ever stops, I think we're done for, because we must remember. And you know, the King was there, our new King, and even when they sang "God Save the King," I became emotional. I thought the whole thing.
There is something quite emotional about hearing "God Save the King."
There is,
now, isn't there?
Much more than, fun enough, "God Save the Queen."
Yeah.
Which I don't know why, but you're absolutely right.
I think...
But the whole thing was just wonderful, and we do that so well. We did the Queen's funeral so well. We do everything magnificently.
I think that we didn't have the Queen this year added to the poignancy of the whole thing.
Yeah, I think...
There are fewer and fewer royals, which in one way is a good thing, money, da-da-da-da. But on the other hand, you looked at the balcony and there was just Camilla and Catherine.
I know, it looked lonely, didn't it?
It did look very lonely.
I thought that.
And that brings me on to the other story that you've already touched on this morning about Kate on that balcony. Catherine, and I thought she looked stunning, and yet the Mirror's choice of page one picture is weird.
Yeah, they've gone for a very unflattering picture.
Very, very unflattering.
Which
you have to question why they're doing it. You know, I've been in newspapers for a long, long time, and you know exactly why they've done that, because they don't want to be nice to the royal family in one sense. So it's just a bit unfair, because it's obviously, it's taking away from the poignancy, as Christopher Biggins, oh God almighty, Mr. Biggins, has already discussed. I mean, and it's like, I went to a remembrance service down in Folkestone where the Gurkhas are based, and they were leading the parade, and Folkestone was the harbour that many of the very young men going out to the First World War went from. They went on the boats from Folkestone Harbour. Many of them obviously never came back. So it's a particularly poignant area, got a remembrance road, and the Gurkhas leading it. And I'm just thinking, it's like, we can't ever forget. And one of the other things I heard on social media this morning about Kate was, well, what's she remembering for? She's only 40, and it's like...
No, that's not how it works.
Is that?
Look, we're going to take just a short break because the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has, as we now know, said a second ago, signed this new deal with the French to try to deal with migration. She's just been talking.
We take a multi-dimensional approach. There's no single answer, there's no quick fix, there's no silver bullet. Our cooperation and collaboration with the French on the Channel, on the UK coastline, on the French coastline, is absolutely integral to ensuring that there is a robust barrier preventing people disembarking from the French beaches in the first place.
What do you reckon, Biggins?
Well, I think something has to be done, and I think this is a step forward. I mean, you know, I like her, actually. I think she's good. And I think she's good for the country and for this terrible situation. I mean, 40,000 people. I mean, you know, how are we expected to cope? You know, we're in a terrible financial... We can't even feed our own people. And yet these people are coming over in their drones, and then they're not even being allowed to live a life when they get here. They're put into these camps. I mean, I don't know, there's something...
Well, 80 million this is set to cost us. Another 80 million to the French. They've already had 174.8 million.
But it's 8 million a year. It's 8 million a year. Isn't it?
Well, I just know the total comes to 174 has already been given to them, and it hasn't worked yet.
It hasn't worked. They don't appear to have done much, do they? But when we are actually talking about spending £7 million a day housing migrants in hotels over here at the moment, and as you know, as Biggins has just said, we have to do something. And, you know, without the French working with us, we are not going to solve the channel crossing problem.
But it's not in their interests to solve this problem, because they don't want to have all of the people that are trying to come to the UK,
It needs to be a European-wide issue,
It needs to be
doesn't it?
European-wide, Stephen. But I mean, you know, everyone's struggling with issues, with this issue in particular. No one seems to have solved the problem. But look, it's something, surely.
Well, one really key difference in this, which is the first time it's ever happened in this deal, is having British border force officers on French soil trying to cope at some of these French centres before they come across to the UK, which up until now the French have said is going to impact on their sovereignty.
Yes.
Do you think that could be the thing that turns it?
It has to be. I think that would make sense to have a processing centre. Because look, the bottom line here is it's not so much about the cost, but it's about people risking their lives crossing that channel. That's what we have to stop. And so if we have a processing centre that is humane and the conditions are good, actually on French soil with the British border force there doing that, then surely that has to be a good thing if it stops the boats.
But are there gangs of people coming over too, which is another terrifying thing?
Yeah.
You know, where there are groups of people sending over these people to go and rob us and drugging. You know,
Well, there's a lot of concern with and you've got to be careful that we don't demonise all Albania.
No, of course not.
But there is some issue with Albanian gangs.
Yes.
Which is
terrifying.
Well, there is also no real reason to be seeking refuge when you come from Albania. There's no war there.
No.
60% of migrant crossings over the summer were from Albania.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge problem.
Anyway, look, talking about pots of money, which is what all of this requires. Dolly Parton, everyone's favourite country singer, Higgins, has been given 100 million quid by Jeff Bezos off of Amazon.
Well, I think this is wonderful. I mean, this is the third time he's done it.
Wow.
It's give this amount of money to different, but she does so much good.
Oh, yeah.
And the causes that she helps.
Is she one of your pals?
I have met her, and I got a wonderful picture with her, which I love. I mean, she is the most amazing woman. She's full of life. She's a joy to be with. I think her talent is huge, and she just loves life. I mean, Dollyland.
Oh, yeah.
I want to live in Dollyland.
Oh, so do I. Oh, we'll go together.
Okay, perfect. But you're right, she's so vivacious and also talented, but she's also managed to keep her private life very private. I have no idea what her husband looks like, for example.
No, and what he does,
Yeah.
you know, but he keeps her happy, obviously, which is great. And she adores him. And, you know, she talks about him all the time, which is interesting when you get to know her. But, I mean, I think it's terrific. I mean, that must be 300 million he's given to charities. I mean, I know he's the richest man, one of the richest men in the world, but, I mean, that's a really wonderful thing to do.
She does so much for charity herself, though.
She does.
For children's reading in America, for literature. Yeah, she does. She does it really quietly as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, she doesn't make a big song and dance about it like some people do when they give to charity. So, I mean, she does it. And, you know, you forget how enormously talented she is. So many of the songs that she wrote that are sung by other people.
9 to 5.
Yeah, Dolly Parton wrote that. Oh my God, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Incredibly talented.
I mean, she is incredibly talented. I think apparently when she went up to get the money, she was genuinely shocked that he'd given her 100 million. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Dude, she can do a lot with that, and she will do.
I love that. Just looking at Dolly Parton quotes. I'm a self-made woman and I have the doctor's bills to prove.
Yes, well, exactly. We were talking about leg lengthening. She's certainly improved her assets, hasn't she?
I think that story was so extraordinary. I mean, having had my new knee put in last year, the last thing you want to do is have your leg broken and extended. I mean, the pain.
It must be very.
You know, I mean,
if it's a mental health issue, then it's you've got to outweigh the physical pain with the mental anguish of going about having short legs.
Tom Cruise didn't suffer that much, did he?
No, he just wears high heels. Cuban heels.
Well, I wonder what it was about standing on his wallet that made him so attractive.
Can we finish off? We've got time to finish off with the Times. Just quickly, Dawn, looking at diabetes, because it is World Diabetes Day.
Yeah, right. I've chosen this story because I'm obviously very aware it is World Diabetes Day, and you are a big supporter of this, Stephen, and obviously a couple of members of my own family are now type 2 diabetic. But this is a major new trial which will screen children aged between 3 and 13 for type 1 diabetes. in an attempt to pick up the disease before it actually becomes life-threatening. You'll obviously know more about the condition than I do, Stephen, but evidently 1 in 4 are detected only when it becomes potentially fatal and they're already in hospital.
Were you a child when you...
Well, I was 17 when I got type 1, but quite how they screen for it prior to that, I don't know. But there must be some technique. Is it JDRF behind this? I wondered, the charity. They do a lot of amazing work.
Yes, it is JDRF and Diabetes UK, and they're aiming to recruit 20,000 children for blood tests that can assess their chances of developing type 1 diabetes.
No,
This is a very good thing to do, I think. Very good.
No, absolutely. Look, we've got to leave it there, sadly, you two, but we'll see you in the next hour, won't we?
We will.
Higgins and Newsom, I thank you.
Thank you both.
That's very informed. Mrs. Newsom, if you don't mind.
Oh, your married name?
Yeah.
Newsom. That's nice.